Those eager to learn more about Season 2 of HBO's The Last of Us and beyond may want to pay close attention to the latest video game announced for the franchise. Gaming studio Naughty Dog revealed earlier in November that a remastered version of 2020's The Last of Us Part 2 is coming to the PlayStation 5 and will bring with it all sorts of bonus features. Among the added goodies are Lost Levels, a series of playable sequences that were cut from the original game. Neil Druckmann, the co-creator of The Last of Us games and the HBO series, exclusively tells EW over email that some of the material from these deleted scenes may find their way into The Last of Us Season 2 on HBO. As a tease, I will say there is at least one element from a cut level that is planned for the show, Druckmann says. I say that with the caveat that we haven't started filming the show yet and all things are subject to change based on what we ultimately feel will be best for the show. To further level-set viewer expectations, Druckmann explains, the Lost Levels are very much focused on offering a sneak peek into The Last of Us Part 2's original development and deepen fans' appreciation for the studio's creative work. While the TV show has diverged from the original works to suit the medium and likely will again, these levels are not meant to be indicative of work on the HBO show, which is separate from Part 2 Remastered's development. The Lost Levels aren't fully finished levels, but they will come with interactive elements and developer commentary. Druckmann explains how players will be able to hear from the creative team as they are playing about the intention of the level, what was going on in the sequence, and ultimately why it was cut. One example he gives is an extended party scene in Jackson that offers more insight into Ellie's life in town. Another example, as seen in the announcement trailer for the remaster, is Ellie tracking something to a Mountain General store seemingly near Jackson. Think of these as levels left on the cutting room floor that for various reasons didn't make it into the final game, he says, adding, these are a new attempt from us to lift the curtain on the development process. And I hope players appreciate the insight into what did and didn't make it into the final game. In terms of the show, HBO's The Last of Us Season 2 will begin to adapt the events of Naughty Dog's The Last of Us Part 2, which picks up 5 years after 2013's The Last of Us game. After slaughtering members of the Firefly's rebel group to save Ellie, Joel is now living in Jackson with his surrogate daughter, as well as Maria and his brother Tommy. When a violent event disrupts their peace, Ellie becomes obsessed with hunting down those responsible, even as she's forced to deal with the physical and emotional repercussions of her actions. Druckmann serves as a showrunner for HBO's The Last of Us alongside Craig Mazin, with Pedro Pascal starring as Joel and Bella Ramsey starring as Ellie. Similar to how Season 1 remixed aspects of the games, so too will the subsequent seasons. My focus on The Last of Us next season has remained the same. Craig and I want to create a great season of television that stays true to the themes and intent of the original Part 2 story while adapting the story as best we can for a different medium, he says. Druckmann also promises that the overlapping development of The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered and HBO's The Last of Us Season 2 is very serendipitous. Game and TV development are often very different in nature, and Part 2 Remastered's development was about offering the best version of this game possible rather than teeing up any work for the show, he notes. I remember going into the studio to record commentary tracks for a handful of cinematics, then in the afternoon meeting with Craig to break Season 2's story, which was often based on the same sequences/moments, he adds. So, the process of working on the remaster happened to double as a research refresher for me on the intricacies of the story, along with why we made certain decisions. The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered will arrive on PlayStation this January 19th. Pre-orders will be available starting December 5th.